Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Gold and silver are tumbling up to end the week. Let's explore. I know that is a little unusual terminology to describe the movement of gold and silver, and really, probably the more correct term would be to eke their way up. Very slight movements to end the week out, but both in positive territory. But especially when you take into account what's going on with Bitcoin, it probably is safe to say that it is not much to write home about. But that is the nature of what precious metals are about. So really, what is this about tumbling up? Well, maybe we can account for it and describe precious metals' climb up the ladder of prices like this. That's right. That is our president trying to board Air Force One. And really, you know what? It makes news. We'll gotta give a little salute there, but that is kind of what we're looking at here as gold has settled higher, up over 1% for the week. This article here from MarketWatch as the Dow ends. And these very slight movements, they're in some ways, especially for those in other asset classes that are doing a lot better, maybe it's time to make a little bit of fun of gold and silver for their stumbling upwards. They're tumbling up. But you know what? The last laugh, I believe, will come for gold and silver in terms of what they are and understanding what they are. Now, am I comparing gold and silver to the installed President Biden? No, I am not. There's a vast difference between those two. But nonetheless, I think we can say that this climb that we're seeing and the reaction is kind of on par with what people have been talking about for quite some time, but really it's tied to a lot of these things, such as a recovery bounce in oil prices and a setback in U.S. Treasury yields, and that's good for gold. And so this is something that we're looking at here, especially demand picking up in China and India, and we did see the signs of the economy opening back up, and that should get gold and silver rallying, especially with the fear of inflation coming. So this is where we're going to look into this a little bit deeper here from this article from Kitco. Gold price is back on the field after being benched. Signs point to more gains, according to some analysts. But you know what? Again, we've heard this before as well, too. Gold is back on investors' radar as prices look to end the week on a strong technical note, despite another spike in bond yields in these treasuries. After trading near 3-week highs following the Federal Reserve's dovish statement, gold managed to ignore the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield, rising to its 14-month high of 1.75% on Friday. You heard me talk about this in our prior video, that some feel that we won't see a lot of movement in gold, even if it goes above 2%. As of the writing, April COMEX gold futures were trading at $1,742.60, up more than 1% on the week. The Fed revised its 2021 GDP and inflation expectations to 6.5% and 2.4% respectively, but stressed that rates would remain near zero through 2023, and Jerome Powell continued to refer to any price spikes as transitory while ignoring rising yields. On Friday, the Fed threw another curveball in the markets as it declined to extend the temporary bank leverage rule exemption that expires at the end of the month. The rule excluded U.S. Treasuries and central bank deposits from the supplementary leverage ratio, which helped to encourage bank lending during the pandemic. In response, yields continued to rise and the stock market sold off. And kind of reminds me, about what was going on before the pandemic with this, what we referred to as repo, repurchase agreements between these banks. They kind of keep that interest rate low. In light of this, gold had a decent performance, holding above $1,730 an ounce, while equities and oil were down, Blue Line Futures chief market strategist Philip Stribel told Kitco News. Gold as an asset class has moved up on the investors' list. The precious metal was irrelevant for many a few weeks ago. There was more action in other markets, but now it's moved itself back up. Gold as a player on the field again after being benched for a while, Stribel said. Some investors are starting to look at gold amid the market volatility. And gold has been trading well relatively to other commodities as well, including silver and copper, said LaSalle Futures Group senior market strategist Charlie Nados. And I think the true tale of what gold is about, it's about stability, pure and simple. That's what it's about. It's the most stable version of money out there in the world today, in my opinion. And I think that the price performance and the charts really point to that. The 10-day moving average is starting to rise, and I anticipate a close above the 20-day for the first time since January 7th, and they all said, adding that these are great signs for gold. Geopolitics is back on the radar when it comes to trading gold, analysts pointed out. Top U.S. and China officials clashed during the first high-level meeting with the Joe Biden administration. We will discuss our deep concerns with actions to China, including Xinjiang, Hong Kong, Taiwan, cyber attacks in the United States, economic coercion of our allies, and U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken during the meeting, which is what he said, which took place in Anchorage, Alaska. You know, I can't help be a bit jaded and I guess skeptical about this meeting. To me, it's almost like they're creating a tough stance, a conflict. One of the things is said that China's diplomat said that blacks are being slaughtered here in America. And so, you know, the back and forth there makes you wonder if that's just a show and that maybe there's a lot more agreement going on in the background for many of us who are suspicious of Biden's relationship with the past with China and his own statements that say the same thing, that he's in favor of this rising China and the like. China's top diplomat, the United States uses its military force and financial hegemony to carry out long-arm jurisdiction and suppress other countries. It abuses so-called notions of national security to obstruct normal trade exchanges and incite some countries to attack China. You know, and again, I think that's kind of bloviating. I think really behind the scenes, they're getting, in fact, even mentioned from one statement that they said that they had more productive talks behind the scenes. I think this is a ploy to make Biden appear tough on China. The tensions came just a day after Joe Biden said the Russian President Vladimir Putin was a killer during the ABC News interview. Now that I do believe was probably genuine, and I believe, by the way, it's true. Especially what we've seen with poisoning, with special poisons we've seen from expats who have been vocal against the administration. But that's another matter. Following the comments, Putin said he had last spoken to Biden via telephone at the request of the U.S. president. More talks are said to follow. I want to offer President Biden that we continue our discussion, but on the condition that we do it live, online, without any delays, Putin said. With the COVID-19 pandemic disruptions taking precedent, geopolitical tensions have been low, but that is about to change. The gold price would react positively, analysts told Kitco News. And I think as we see tensions increase, it only makes sense that any kind of uncertainty is going to bode well for gold. With the trade deal concerns, U.S.-China talks didn't start off so well, said Nados. The geopolitical uncertainty has some stepping into gold, said Stribel. Geopolitics are front and center now, as well as yields and market volatility. If volatility comes down, yields will probably keep going higher. If there's another flare-up in the geopolitical sense, there may be some safety buying, he said. Gold is still at risk to go in either direction, added Stribel. It can go down, though, through $1,700 pretty easily if yields keep rising, but a push through $1,750 might reignite the bull camp. The fact that gold did not wash out at $1,700 this week is very good. On the downside, I don't want to see a close above yesterday's lows below 1720. And we'll look at the prices here in a moment. So what about this Fed speak? We got the Powell-Yellen duo. And we essentially have two Fed chairs when you think about it. Next week, there will be a slate of Federal Reserve speakers, including a joint appearance in the Senate Banking Committee from Fed Chair Jerome Powell and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on Wednesday. Given the move higher in longer-dated bond yields, it will be interesting to see whether that's making them nervous. Almost certainly, we will hear a narrative that inflation risks are overblown. But in an environment of a supply-constrained economy that is experiencing massive stimulus-induced demand, we certainly think inflation will be higher and more sustained than the Fed has publicly stated. And that is they want to try to, that's part of their purpose, by the way, is to give this aura of calmness and that everything is under control. They've got more tools in their toolbox after all, right? And then we'll see what happens next week with the fourth quarter GDP data, and I believe it will probably be up. They're expecting maybe as high as 6% in the coming year, and I believe that's quite possible considering everybody wants to get back to normal. As things open up, travel increases, and people get out and about and do things they're itching to do, especially with the stimulus, with this money that's been pumped out, and I haven't gotten this stimulus or the last stimulus, and I'm eligible for it, but have not arrived in my bank accounts or check or anything like that. See how it plays out. Let's take a look here and see what these precious metal prices are now as we come to very close to the end of this week here. Gold is up just over a third of a percentage point here, and silver is up almost a half a percentage point, 13 cents. The platinum group metals are down, save for rhodium, which really jacked up $1,500. Now it's at an all-time high again, 29 grand. Maybe I should sell my rhodium bar. No, I'm going to hold on to it. Even at 30,000, I probably will. I know I'm foolish. That's okay. Feel free to bash me in the comment section below. I know some of you will. That's okay. And the gold to silver ratio is a very interesting number to look at. It did get down below 65 at one point here recently, but is now comfortably above 66 to 1, which still I think is abnormally high considering where we are at in this volatility and measure. But nonetheless, there it is. There's your metals news and where the tumble up for this week for gold and silver. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch this video. And I want to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.